All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding the high-tech, glowing infrastructure that's quietly wiring our physical cities directly to the blockchain. We're unpacking the tokenization stack, the technical and regulatory architecture that is completely transforming real estate. Get this. Tokenized real estate is projected to explode from under $300 billion today to a massive $4 trillion by 2035. I mean, that is just a monumental leap, and it represents a massive shift in how the entire world handles property. And it really highlights a profound truth that industry experts are waking up to. The future of real estate, it's not going to be recorded in dusty deeds or PDFs anymore. It's going to be written in code. We are literally talking about taking one of the oldest, most illiquid asset classes in human history and turning it into a highly liquid, programmable financial primitive. So here's the blueprint we're deconstructing today. The trillion-dollar blueprint, the layer cake architecture, the tokenization lifecycle, regulatory foundations and MiCA, the last mile problem, and finally, the programmable property future. Let's get started. Section 1, the trillion-dollar blueprint. Let's look at the sheer scale of this opportunity. You know, traditional real estate is totally notorious for massive entry barriers and deep illiquidity, right? You usually need hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get a seat at the table. But tokenization completely shatters that barrier. It enables fractional entry points. So imagine accessing prime real estate for as little as $50. It absolutely opens up the market and pulls physical property right into the digital economy. And when you look at the numbers, the trajectory is just staggering. We're seeing technology totally merge with physical assets here. Going from under $300 billion today to that projected $4 trillion by 2035, that isn't just growth, that's an economic revolution. Moving on to Section 2, the layer cake architecture. How do we actually build this securely? Well, it operates exactly like a layer cake, building from immutable blockchains all the way up to the user-friendly interfaces. Why so many layers? Because we have to build ironclad trust in a trustless environment. At the base, you've got your blockchain infra, like Ethereum or Polygon. Then come the token standards. Next up, Oracle systems like Chainlink feeding in real-world data. On top of that sits your legal wrappers, the SPVs. And finally, the front-end UI that you and I would actually interact with. Right at that foundational layer, we're essentially wiring deterministic blockchain networks directly into physical commercial buildings. We're talking about using networks like Ethereum for bulletproof security and layer 2s like Polygon to get that scalable, cheap finality. It is literally a direct bridge connecting a digital ledger to physical brick and mortar. But here's the thing. You can't just slap a generic, unregulated crypto token onto a commercial building. It doesn't work like that. You need ERC-3643, which is also known as the TREC standard. This is the Institutional Smart Contract Standard for regulated tokenization. Think of it as the glowing circuitry of compliance. It enforces investor qualifications and jurisdictional limits automatically, right there on-chain. Section 3, the tokenization lifecycle. Let's see how a physical property actually transforms into a digital token. The whole journey progresses seamlessly from off-chain legal structuring right into on-chain execution. First, you have deal structuring, which takes a few days. Then forming the SPV and legal wrappers, that can take a few weeks. But then the actual digitization via smart contracts, that happens in mere minutes. And once it's live, you have global secondary trading happening 24/7. I do want to give a crucial word of warning here, though. Writing the smart contract is actually the easy part. The real danger? Ensuring the on-chain cap table stays perfectly synced with off-chain corporate registries. The on-chain registry absolutely must be the ultimate source of truth. If you try to run parallel spreadsheets off-chain, things break down fast, and suddenly you're sending dividends to the wrong wallets. That integration gap is exactly where deals leak. Section 4, regulatory foundations and MiCA, because, let's face it, the tech is useless without legal validation. Just look at the stark contrast here. The EU's MiCA 2026 framework is an absolute game changer. It allows a compliant tokenized security to be passported across 27 different countries seamlessly. So instead of dealing with a highly localized, fragmented market full of slow manual compliance checks, you suddenly unlock 450 million customers. And the AML and KYC? Completely automated inside the smart contracts. Now, under the MiCA framework, these property tokens operate as asset-referenced tokens, or ARTs. This is distinctly different from e-money tokens, which are just pegged to fiat currencies like the euro or US dollar. By classifying them as ARTs, MiCA requires strict 100% segregated reserve backing. That is absolutely crucial to ensure ultimate safety for the investors. And it's definitely not just Europe making moves here. Regulatory liquidity hubs like VARA in Dubai and MAS in Singapore are building these essential institutional foundations globally. They've got dedicated teams actively managing these frameworks, proving this is a massive, coordinated global effort to legitimize and scale tokenized real-world assets. Section 5. The last mile problem. This is where the cyber world crashes into physical reality. So consider this fundamental question. What happens if the blockchain says you own the property, but the physical tenant simply refuses to leave, right? Smart contracts are mathematically flawless in the digital realm for sure, but they literally cannot physically evict a stubborn tenant in the real world. To solve this so-called last mile problem, the architecture relies on two key off-chain elements. First, since blockchains can't natively access physical world data, they use decentralized oracles, like Chainlink, to feed real-world valuation and rent data directly on-chain. Second, they use off-chain legal wrappers, those SPVs we mentioned. The SPV holds the actual property title, ensuring your digital token represents legal enforceability in a physical court of law. But amazingly, some jurisdictions are already solving this directly at the government level. In Dubai, a platform called the Crypto Mint connects blockchain transfers directly to the government land registry in real time. No joke, this effectively eliminates the need for an SPV entirely. You buy a token, and the government's land registry updates automatically. That is true frictionless tokenization. It saves investors massive amounts of time and legal fees. Finally, Section 6, the programmable property future. Tokenized real estate is projecting a massive 27% compound annual growth rate through the next decade. Think about that. This isn't just some slight optimization of property investing. We're talking about an entirely new rails system for global finance. As we literally transform concrete and steel into a programmable financial primitive, it brings up the ultimate question. Who is going to engineer the secure global infrastructure of tomorrow? If the future of our physical cities will be written in code, who will be the ones to write it? It's a fascinating paradigm shift, and one that promises to unlock trillions in value. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and keep exploring the incredible architecture being built right under our feet.